Hey guys, it's Tarkin coming at you with another game of Minecraft. Really, it's just wheat. But today we're going to build some rivers for the wheat, which is germane to the purpose of the wheat. It is acceptable. It is, part of the process. We're probably going to, connect there, maybe. I don't know. It's not important. What is important is that we're going to make the river over here. And if we make some more later, we'll do what has to be done. And by over here, I mean over here? Question mark? Where is it? Way over here. Hey 2000, how are you? Yeah, because we'll probably just chip through there. It's not really that important. We really just need this river here, for aesthetic reasons. Because there is a chasm, and a river is much better than that. We were working on this the other day. We actually definitely need more kelp. But, we can just get to work. This is the best thing you can do in Minecraft because the water sounds are good. And you just get to swim around. It's great. We need more kelp though. We need so much more kelp. Let us go get it. Of course, the only place to get kelp is an ocean. And we happen to have placed an ocean right over here. In our wisdom. The ocean's not made of wheat. Some stuff isn't. You gotta let a little bit of the world not be wheat, at least for a while. Maybe we could plant a layer of wheat underneath the ocean. That would be a sight. This should be enough. I mean, probably. Sometimes you'll get a dolphin coming around and it'll knock it around everywhere, which is both adorable and totally obnoxious. It's only 100 and something. A real river will need at least twice that much. No, we'll just use this much for right now. Should be fine. After all, once it gets to the height that you need it to be, then you're fine, because one kelp becomes rather a lot of kelp. Just as one wheat can become a lot of wheat. That's the wonder of Minecraft. The generation of new blocks. Some people like to build stuff. I like to make the world create new stuff itself, Not really. I'm sure you can just, make dirt out of thin air. I just don't know how. If I ever learn, you guys you'll be the second or thirds to know, though. I tell ya. We won't be wasting any time with the making dirt out of thin air thing. My poor wheat field, It was so beautiful, and now look at me, breaking part of it. Very shameful, very sad. But you know, you do what you have to do for the river, and then you lie about it afterward, and you say, I don't even know who broke that wheat field. When I left, that wheat field was perfect, and everything was fine. You know, a lie. But after a while, no one will remember anything but the present. And there won't be any, like, documentary evidence to tell them that I've deceived them about the nature of this river. I'd be like, oh no, I found it like that. Yeah, it's just a weird river. Sometimes they grow that way. And you might say to yourself, why would one need to prepare to lie about the formation of a river? Oh, there's a lot of stuff you might have to do. Life is very long. And, you know, the current's a mess, but that'll buff right out. It will buff right out, you'll see. You see, that's what the kelp is for. The kelp is to smooth and beautify the surface of the water. And it'll eventually grow and do that. You know, you just gotta give it some time. That's the thing you gotta do. You have to believe in the process, the kelp process. Right now, I'm like, oh yeah, the top of this is all flowing. Yeah, we don't have sourcing low there at all. That makes sense. Kind of annoying, but makes sense. It'll take a little while. We can just go over here and work some more on it. We can just individually place the kelps to speed some of the process along. However, it's not like that. Oh, we can't even go higher there? Strange. Just has something to do with where the actual water flows around. Anyway, you know, we'll, because we can just force it, and then you can break the kelp right after you place it. Like, it either goes positive or, like, is always fine, essentially. You know, we don't probably need that kelp there. We'll probably be okay about it. Probably. Of course, the thing is, too, that since this is very far away from everything else, unless we're over here, the kelp won't grow. I mean, I don't even know what a person would do on this side of the world. I guess they could just plant wheat or something. Because really, like, this is savannah. Like, this should obviously be wheat, right? Like, this is this side of the river that separates. You know, like this obvious. Yeah, like what am I even doing? Why do we declare this side done? That's ridiculous. It needs to be wheat. We don't have quite enough yet. We'll plant a little bit of this while we wait for some kelp to grow. And then we will work on the river a little bit. After all, if I have these wheat seeds in my inventory, why shouldn't I grow them? Why shouldn't I? Because one day I'm gonna look around and I'm gonna be like, oh man, I don't have enough wheat seeds. If only I would have planted slightly more wheat, then I would have access to all the wheat seeds I need. And you might think, I don't think that's gonna happen to you, man. I think you'll be okay. You're wrong. You're so wrong. I run out of wheat seeds all the time. It could happen to you too. This is like the toppest of tier wheat planting experiences. You get your Minecraft music, you got your wheat, you got the sound of flowing water gradually being taken up by kelp. You know, everything that a person needs. Kelp grows fast too, like really, really fast. We could probably just chill for, you know, a little bit of wheating here, and then we'll turn around and legit just be in a much better position there. And you know, I guess we could put a little bit more kelp down, but it's not really that important too. Probably. Because with big kelp coverage, you'll get like the Hemingway line about bankruptcy, gradually and then suddenly. You'll gradually and then suddenly get a water flow that just clears over the whole top of the place that you were working with when the kelp all hits little critical mass. And it's so wonderful when you're around for it, at least to me. It's like, ah yes, this is everything that I had hoped it would be. You know, it's all coming together. This is every bit as good as planting wheat is, to see a river come together. Of course, we're just looking at the river now, but you know, the time, that's important. A river needs time, not like a wheat field, which only needs dedication and time. But time alone won't be enough. You also need wheat seeds and what can be charitably described as a totally normal personality. These are the things that you'll need. I don't recommend them, but if you find that you already have it, you know, why not make a river in Minecraft? Why not plant some wheat? Maybe there's something to being the one who you are, as the song says. Whoops. Oh no! Oh no! Agony! This right here, this is why you do not put water buckets in to your inventory lineup. You don't do it. I know you don't do it. This is actually not nearly as bad as it could have been. So we should count ourselves lucky. I mean, that was just like a little bit. I have wrecked a whole mountainside. But you know, you just move the mouse over expecting your whole hotbar to be wheat, not realizing that you've got like kelp and dirt and, tragically, water buckets. Man, Minecraft music's so good. You know, I often muse about how different my life could have been if I started playing this game when it came out like I should have. I joked whenever I started that maybe I would never play any other games, but I've actually played lots and lots of games this year. This year of YouTube. And that's awesome, I think. In the past year, I've played, you know, several games that I would consider among my favorite games of all time for their genres, so it's been a very fruitful year for video game playing for me. You know, they are mainly games that came out years ago that everybody else already knew were the best games, but I like to learn at my own pace, like everybody else does. Alright, back to the river a little bit. Yeah, this kelp is taking its sweet time. You know, sometimes you just, like, you have one specific place that you don't even notice that you don't have, like, any growth there, and then before you know it, you'll look up and it's like, oh, I just solved everything. It was me all along. I was the issue. So, like, you won't notice that there's, like, a pillar that, like, doesn't have anything on it, or that it's, like, empty. But with a little bit of dedication, there we go, a nice little wheat barrier for the river. Is that too high? No. There we go, much better. We just need to drag it over here too. There we go. So we saw in action there when the kelp leveled this whole area over. And it'll push many, many blocks in a row, because as the kelp grows, it turns the flowing water block into a source water block, as we know. And, you know, that is all that you need for the joyous rush of the river to descend upon the land. It's good stuff. Everybody loves a river. That's my experience anyway. No one's ever like, man, these rivers are underwhelming. I mean, in Minecraft, no one's been like, these rivers are awesome. But, you know, what I know what they mean to say is, these rivers are awesome. This is a good river. And then we have this, which I definitely didn't put there. That was already there, you know. Good for it. Like, who has broken those? That wouldn't have been me. Like, a wandering trader? A sheep inside of the field? It's infuriating is what it is, you know. But we'll get past it, you know, before long. Because I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have hit every single one of those. Like, that's a bit much even for me. And I would have tried not to do it. And I would have complained about it. And I might even remember complaining about it. You know, it's not much of one, but it'll do the job. And, importantly, it'll scan, you know, as a more or less normal way to look at it. And let's see, yeah, from high up, once we get the trees out of the way, I think it'll look just fine. But for right now, we need to go and mend up a little bit, probably. Maybe get some more weed seeds. Maybe start on the rivers on the other side here. Of course, that river won't grow when we're not around, but... But we need one on this side, too. Do I have any kelp? No. Fortunately, I have placed an ocean right here. Here's, of course, the moderately good library. You can look underneath it and see all the cool stuff. Just like where the enchanting table is, you know, we made the obsidian road to lead you, you know, to the enchanting table. We got our Iliad here, you know, got a little bit of Iliad going on. I actually like my silly little library. I don't care. I don't care if it's not good. No, it's merely not great. I do have 7,000 bookshelves, though. One of these days I should build the great library. If you have any kelp in the ocean, of course, you can just put the bed on top of the kelp and lay down. I used to think you had to go down to the bottom of the ocean. Nothing could have been more incorrect. So if you're ever swimming in the ocean and you get tired and you see some kelp, just put a bed on top of it, lay down. It works. They're not allowed to lie to you in video games. Hey, Lug. How are you? I'm doing alright. I, just, you know, doing some wheat, some rivers, you know, normal stuff. Gotta go to work here before too long, but I'm trying not to focus on it while still paying attention to that fact. You know, you don't want to think too much about how you got to go to work, but you got to think exactly the right amount about it. Here we see a bunch of boats. Here we see the legacy. When you hear me talking about how you're not supposed to accidentally put, you know, your water onto the side of mountains, that's like what this is. Because this used to be like a lava pool. Nobody knows what happened. Alright, so we just need to get to work here on this thing. First, we just want to get a little bit of this for the water flow. And because having a barrier in the middle of the river is not very aesthetic. No, this isn't like practical, so you don't need like more water force behind the water. Like a little bit might get you a little more, but like the fact that all this is here is more or less irrelevant. But like I said, it's aesthetic. Alright, we've already got that there. We need to lava bucket that away. I think it's just one lava outcropping, so this won't take much. Yep, there we go. Oh, we have made the advancement hot stuff. I guess I haven't ever picked up lava in a bucket on this survival world, so that's pretty fun. Say the field's looking fantastic. Thank you, thank you. All right, so just as perspective, because we've reset the timer with commands a couple of times, but let's see. So time with world open, 20 human days. Time played, 17.67 human days, so 24-hour days, right? And now we finally picked up lava into a bucket for the first time in this world, you know. I've done it in my hardcore world. And now we will put it here. Keep it secret, keep it safe. If we ever need it again, that's where we'll go. But if you have it, it'll, you know, it interacts with the water in very interesting ways. It seems like it would be a good way if you were a bad or mean or motivated person to destroy something that somebody else had built or that you had built. Because you could just, like, build a tower with little lattices and then just, like, drop the lava in the water and then, like, cover it in cobblestone and fire. Anyway, that's what occurs to me. Anyway, we're gonna... Any one of these moments, we're gonna hit the right side of it. There we go. This is gonna be a little annoying, but we'll get on the upper side of it, and that'll make it better. Moderately better. No, that was good, healthy water. I didn't need to destroy it. Say, hope I have a good shift work today. Oh, me too, me too. You know, the first hour is great. I go in and, like, fry tortilla chips and, like, set stuff up for the day. I get to listen to music and there's not people around. Or not very many. And it's wonderful. And then, you know, and then the day starts. But yes, it is time for the kelpinine. The kelpinine is, of course, the stage in any river where you put some kelp down to assist with the rest of the river formation. The kelpinine. It's a real thing. People say it. They'll be like, what's kelpinine here? Or have you even kelped yet? You know, these are all things that real people say. I'm surprised I'm even explaining it. Say the morning prayer before super soap. Yeah, you know, like everything, you know, like technically, you know, it's not like restful to be over vats of hot oil, but when you do it enough, you know, like it's. I sometimes remark that my fear of like fire and being burned is the only fear I've ever conquered. Like, whenever I was a little kid, I would be just, like, so afraid even to, like, reach inside of an oven, right? And I don't want to blame my older sister for joking about Hansel and Gretel, but I think she was joking and I didn't get that she was joking. So I would, like, if my mom wanted me to take something out of the oven, like, I would look around, right? I would, like, try to make sure that no one was going to push me into the oven or anything. And, which, again, is a totally normal fear for people to have. And I do want to emphasize that my sister wasn't, like, mean to me or anything. I didn't, like, run around in fear of her, but she did joke about it, and I did think about it whenever I opened the oven. Actually, quite like my older sister, she's basically always super nice to me. That's not just because she might be listening. No, I like all of my, I like all my family. I didn't always get along with everybody, but I think I do now. And if I don't notice, and that's the same. The exact same. You can't tell me I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. But then, you know, then one thing leads to another, and you look up and all the people are there. And I'm like, well, I hope they've all been watching me listen to System of a Down and doing this. I'm just singing along, you know. Sometimes you gotta go, rah, but, you know, louder. And, yeah. See, plenty of people, they don't listen to music that's fun to sing along to, so when they see you, like, making metal cymbals and roaring silently, they're like, oh, this guy's having a really good time. And I'm like, yeah, so too could you if your music was better. But it's considered rude to tell people that, and I even know that, so I usually don't even say it. You say when you were little, they joked about you falling into, like, a porta potty. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I do remember worrying about that too, but it didn't like drive me to distraction like the ovens would. But now it's like, it's so funny, like, to think that, like, I'll, like, you know, you get oil on your arm, you know, you're around a fryer, and you're just like, wipe it off real quick, change your gloves, carry on, you know. It's like, when someone's like, did you just get, I'm like, yeah, it's just oil, you know, like, the oil's 350 degrees, it doesn't get hotter than that, get over yourself, just don't get a whole lot on you. You work on the broiler, and then there's like, you know, like, that's fire, you know, like, they got proper metal over there. But, you know, it's like anything. You grow somewhat contemptuous of the dangers, and you just have to remind yourself to, you know, use good practices and try to keep yourself safe, you know. Anyone working in any workplace that's, you know, got stuff in it has seen people act sort of cavalier with it and pay the price, you know. Bad burns and slips and falls and cuts, what have you. I worked at a pizza joint one time, and with like a brick oven, and somebody like really burned the back of their arm pretty good one day. And, you know, they were a real you don't need to tell me anything kind of guy, so you know how you feel whenever a guy like that has something bad happen. You're like, shame. Oh, excellent. The control walk still works even in the flowing water. And then we'll just go down one vertical, because it's I think 5 that you can get all on one y-axis. And then you gotta go down a level. Which is not so bad here. It can be like really convoluted if you don't have water to go down a level. I don't even know if it's possible. As I say that, like anytime I say I don't know if it's possible, what I'm really doing is inviting somebody to tell me how it's possible, because I know that I don't know anything about Minecraft. Dogs and cats know more than I do. The brother designed health scares machine in the kitchen. Oh, for sure. Like that, you know, it uses fire. It makes you feel dumb when you're like, man, this is really hot. And of course, like, as you may know, I live in Arkansas, so like it is an unpleasant season to be working over literal fire. But you know, you do what you gotta do. I wish I had more money than I had, and I know that's not punk, but I would like to pay my rent, as the song says. Okay, so we can go 5 in one direction and 5 in another one and web it down there. Oh, that's excellent. I'm learning so much all the time. But probably not from a span, but maybe a little bit from one. Hey, there we go. We will connect. Only connections. And the wonder of a river is that you can go from that to, like, real water just so fast. And, of course, I am now out of shovel. Alright, how do we solve this problem? By ignoring it and putting kelp on the ground. That is how we solve it. Smart. But the best part of the day is that if everything goes smoothly, it should be a short day. You know, sometimes it isn't, but it should be. Meaning I'll be home to play video games for a huge portion of the day. Several hours. Sometimes I just take a nap, though. Like, sometimes I, like, you know, I come home from the kitchen at work and it's just so nice and cool, and I think, I don't want to play video games and talk. I want to take a nap. And then I do. Sometimes I play video games anyway, because I'm much more strongly motivated by video games than basically anything. I think they're great. But we're just gonna get the kelpening going on here. And before long, we'll have to end the video. You know, you hear about people retiring and then getting like a job because they're going crazy in their house. Couldn't be me. I'm like, maybe somebody should show those old people Minecraft. You know? No, I'm being reductive. I know people are different than I am and that socialization is good for them. But maybe somebody should show those old people Minecraft anyway. You know, do them a world of good. Alright, well that is the end of the dirt. Who knows where I would even find any more dirt. You know, it doesn't grow on trees. You can't grow it like kelp. Unless you can, and I just don't know. As soon as I say you can't just grow dirt out of thin air, someone will very wisely say, actually, I have built a small machine. Using 19,000 parts and a knowledge of computer programming that used to be limited to real professionals, I can generate dirt in Minecraft. I kid. It's probably 18,000 pieces. Say video games can be the escape most people need from life. Any hobby can do that is wonderful. I quite agree. You know, it's not the only thing I do. I read books and, you know, I read books and I watch silly videos on the internet. No, it's basically just video games. I have like Warhammer models, but I haven't played in ages, or painted them in ages. Anyway, my pile of shame grows. That's the hobby slang in Warhammer for all the models you have, but you haven't put together and painted yet, or haven't painted yet. But speaking of shame, there's none to be found here. Gaze upon my wheat, bask. I encourage you to be impressed by the scale, the breadth, the scope, the wheat. But unfortunately, this particular escape from my life reaches its logical, temporary conclusion. But one last time, let's just fly over the wheat field. You know, it's not much, but it's mine. The other day, I was flying over the wheat field. I had like a really high shot of it, and somebody was like, "Wait, is all that yellow wheat?" And I was like, "Yeah. What did you think I was showing you?" Yeah, this is my field. Bask, you know, appreciate, enjoy. But yeah, you know, we planted a little bit here. This river's doing its thing, you know, it's not going to be nearly as expansive as that other one, but, you know, it'll be fine. It'll grow before too long. I don't even have any seeds anymore. Anyway, that's that. Say you need to start growing your field more. Say there's nothing compared to mine. Well, you know, wheat is not a competition. You know, you do it for the love of wheat and the beauty of it, and then before long, you'll have more wheat than you could have possibly imagined. You know, whenever I was a young man 1 year ago, and I had my whole life ahead of me, I didn't even conceive that a person could plant this much wheat. And look at me now. Look at me now. But unfortunately, all good things must come to a temporary end, which I've already observed, and so that's all I've got for you right now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye, Log. Bye, 2000. Appreciate you guys stopping in, saying hello. Have a good day. Perhaps I'll see you in a later stream or video, 5 or 6 or 10 hours from now. Maybe even later. If you're watching this in the future, I hope the weather is nice. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Farewell.